All right, so we used today to really get some situations accomplished, some two-point play stuff, fourth down scenarios, worked on some of our tempo plays. So today was really about, getting some situations that we wanted to work on to finish up our spring. And then, because today we're in helmets only. So clean those things up. Friday we'll go over some logistics of the spring game, and then get into the blue gold game. The first half we'll have two 12-minute quarters stop time. I think last year we got in about 30-something plays each quarter. So that will take up most of probably 65% of the plays. And then the second half, I think we averaged 19 plays per quarter in the second half. So what we'll see in the first half, the quarterbacks will be live in the first half. Everett and Malik will get a chance to really show themselves and be involved in everything within our game plan and compete. And then we'll stop it in the second. Then we'll run it in the second half. I think in terms of ST, we like to just kind of get our team set up there, but nothing will be live relative to ST. And then we've got the offense going against the defense. We've kind of pared down the point system a little bit. I thought we got too many points on the board last year, so it was like 55-5 after the first quarter last year. So we've pared the points down a little bit, give the defense a little bit more of a chance to score some points, and then the offense, like big plays for the offense, 25 yards now for a pass and 20 for a run. So a little bit harder to get some points for the offense unless they score. So just some of the nuances there relative to the blue gold game. So with that, I'll open up to questions.
Brian, what went into the decision to make the quarterbacks live?
I just think both of them are, guys that require that element in their game. I think if we'll have a quick whistle with them, and our guys know that we're not going to take shots at them. If they're in a compromising situation, we do a pretty good job. But, it's just both of those guys need to be who they are, and that's who they are. They're guys that need to move in the pocket, and they make plays with their feet, and they both can run the football, and we want to be able to run them both as well.
In terms of evaluating them going into the summer, how do you balance Everett's experience and track record, both good and bad, with Malik's relative lack of a track record in games?
Well, I think it's, clearly for us, it's been, working on what we perceive to be, what their weaknesses were, not necessarily game experience, because you can't duplicate the game experience. But we know what they looked like when they went in the game, So, for Everett, it's been pocket presence, taking care of the football. And so we're really evaluating them on those things. For Malik, it's accuracy in throwing the football and managing the offense. And so our evaluation has really not been about, the game experience, because we've seen them both play and we know how they react in the games. It's really been about evaluating based upon those criteria. And I would say that Everett's done a great job in the pocket. He's really progressed in the areas that we've asked him to, and really pleased with the spring he had. He had a really good spring. As we go into the game, I didn't think he had if you look at his numbers last spring, he didn't have a very good spring game. Everett, that is. He's had a really good spring. I expect him to have a really good spring game as well.
Brian, what have you seen from Joe Schmidt, just the little window that you had with him now?
He just, all he got in was a little bit of Skelly and 7-on-7, but the same, communicative, skills that he had. I mean, he knows what he's doing, and he gets other guys in the right, position. But, obviously having Jarrett Grace out there too kind of overshadows him a little bit because, we're used to hearing that. When Joe went down, Jarrett kind of picked up where Joe left off. So it wasn't as stark of a difference because you had Jarrett out there. But I did notice him out there, and it was good to see him out there moving around again.
As you exit the spring, is there anything you come out with where you say, this is a unit or area we can really hang our hat on going into the summer, and is there another where you just feel needs more work before you can reach the level you want?
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's certain areas that, I think at the quarterback position, maybe other than Ohio State, I would take our two quarterbacks, and I would take our two over Ohio State's, but in terms of depth, I don't know that anybody has a better situation than we do with the two quarterbacks that we have. I really like what we have on the offensive line. I think that our offensive unit, as it is, gives us that kind of analogy in terms of you can hang your hat on a number of different positions, whether it be the three running backs we have or the number of wide receivers. I really like the spring Durham Smythe has had. I think he's really, in my eyes, has kind of picked up where the Notre Dame tight ends, need to be when you expect them to step in for the next, graduating senior. I mean, it's pretty clear that he's going to be an important part of our offense. So I think from an offensive standpoint, I think the areas that we got to continue to work on is depth at the tackle position. Hunter's got to continue to grow. Hunter Bivin at the left tackle position. I mean, Bars and Nelson are both going to play at left guard. Both those guys are going to play. But everybody else is really solid. So I think offensively there's great things there. Defensively, I think the thing for me that I'm most pleased with is the safety play. Max Redfield's a different player than he was. Elijah. Of course, you've got, Jalen. Those three guys in particular, have really made, a huge impact. I like the depth that we have with young players on the defensive line. I think we're going to show great depth there. James Onowalo has had a great spring. So there's a number of areas. Hang your hat, I think that term for me means that we've got a number of players that can compete at a high level at that particular position. I think where we have to continue to grow is the cornerback position. But Nick Watkins has had a good spring. I think he's developed. He needs to continue to grow there. But I would leave here saying it was a really good spring for Nick. He's got a ways to go, but it was a good spring for him.
You consider him ahead of, at this point, Butler?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'd be more comfortable saying that Nick Watkins individually made the progress that we were hoping that he'd make, and playing with a lot more confidence, and certainly somebody that we feel like is going to be able to contribute to our football team next year.
You've been a little banged up at wide receiver. You've had Preseason working a running back. Have you been able to make the progress with the receiving core overall that you would like, or has that been kind of stunted a little bit because of the situation?
No, I mean, you'd always like to see, Corey Robinson, needs to continue to grow and develop, and he's been out a little bit, but, I don't think he takes a step back at all. I think Amir's had a good spring. Will's played with the broken hand, but, he's just got to finish some plays off. I think for some of those guys, it's more about their physical development off the field. Like Will's got to continue to get stronger so he can dictate his routes instead of being dictated by a more physical defender. So I think for like a Will Fuller, his work is going to be off the field, not on the field. I think Chris has been fine. Torrey Hunter has, certainly developed to the level that we've wanted him to. The thing that I remind him is I got some receivers coming in that are going to push all of them. and there's going to be some eyes opened, I think, because I think they're all going to get challenged when the group of receivers we got coming in, because they all want to play, and I'm not going to hold them back from playing.
Ryan, when do you expect to see Jerron Jones back into shape? Will he be ready by camp, and is that the prognosis for Joe Schmidt too?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, both of those guys are already moving at a level that when they come back in June, they'll be ready to condition, and we'll get them ready through our summer conditioning program, no question. And they'll be available for us we'll have 9 OTAs in June, beginning on June 5th and going through June 25th. So they'll be involved in those as well.
What about Tranquil? He was so far ahead, but obviously.
Yeah, he's moving extremely well. I mean, we're just holding him out because we don't. I mean, if we had to play, if we were playing a game on Saturday, he could play. Yeah, he could play. We just don't need to play him. It'd be crazy to put him out there.
Ryan, last year, it seemed like at times your players on defense struggled with the complexity of the scheme. Do you feel, was there a simplifying of it, or if they just adapted, got used to it, and that last year became kind of an investment in this year?
I think a little bit of both. I think the things that we struggled with a little bit was tempo. And we've worked really hard on that, where we've reduced calls and made the communication system easier to get out to our players. And we learned a lot, in terms of moving personnel in and out of the game, right? We got hurt a lot of times on having nickel personnel in the game on third down, and when there were conversions on third down, where offenses were converting on third down, we had nickel in the game, we're running them out, and we were getting quick tempoed on that conversion on first down. We've learned a lot. So I think we've learned a lot in our defensive substitution. I think we've cleaned up terminology, and I think in some instances we've made it easier for our guys, and they've adapted quite well, because I've challenged them. We've run really fast at them this spring, and I think our defense has done a nice job. And again, I would add one other thing to that, is that we're getting much better communication from the back end of our defense with both Redfield and Shoemate as well.
Do you feel like Jalen is at a point, I mean, he had a lot of tackles last year. He's obviously the best athlete usually on the field in the game, but do you feel like he's in a position now he can be a dominant player where he can take over a game on defense, or at least?
Yeah, he'll be in a position where we can choose to put him in a number of different positions, and you'll have to game plan against him. Last year at times you could take him out of the game. If you wanted to spread him out and get him out of the box and throw the ball the other side, or quick game, or run the ball away, you could take him out of the game in certain. Now, because we've cross-trained him, you can't. And I think that's going to make a huge difference, where he was always part of what was going on because he's such an athlete. Now he's going to be central to everything that happens during the game.
You touched on this at the beginning of spring about the fifth-year situation. Is there any more clarity on that? And also, is there any more clarity on your plan for trimming the roster to 85 by September?
All right, let's take the first question. The first question was what?
5 years, is there any more clarity on that situation?
Well, they've all their applications are in. So everybody that has asked to be a fifth year has turned in their applications to our academic athletic review committee. So those were turned in, and we should hear on those guys here, pretty soon. And yeah, you have to be at 85 when we kick off, and we'll get to 85 when we kick off. Yeah.
Is it the 7 on the fifth-year options on the roster right now that have turned in the applications?
Hounshell has, yes. You'll have to tell me the names, and I can tell you yes or no.
Okay. So Golson.
Yes.
Farley,
Yes.
Schmidt,
Schmidt, yes. Carlo, yes. Grace, yes. Who else? Nick Martin, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so they've all turned them in. They were due last Friday. They all were turned in. And we should have an answer on whether they're going to be granted a fifth year. Yep. And then, yeah, we've got until we kick off against Texas to get to 85. It's a salary cap, right? You got to get to your salary cap. We'll get to 85. Yep.
Frank, last year, Colin Hill, you used coming off the edge, and
Yeah.
he's worked at linebacker. Where do you see his role evolving to?
We've played him more as a down player this spring, and you know, we want to continue to develop him, somebody that can pass rush for us in situations. So that's really been his training, has been more in that position where we think he can continue to develop and get bigger and stronger, and add some athleticism as an edge player.
And how about Randolph with a hand on the ground?
Same thing.
Has he evolved?
Yeah, both of those guys are getting a ton of work in the spring, and again with the hope that they can give us some athletic, edges, in third down and long situations.
Just to be clear, Hill is no longer a Sam linebacker?
He's playing Sam, but when we kick our front over, he's been able to put his hand down too. So, again, we're just trying to take advantage of where we can get him on the field and be active with him.
Anything else?
Jerron Jones and Sheldon Day, will they be live when they play quarterback?
Yeah, I've heard about this because it's been brought up to me because they clearly feel as though they should be involved in the offense. I think when we gave the ball to Irish Chocolate there a couple of years ago, Lewis Nix, they feel like they should be part of the offense. I will tell you, they will not come near the offense, either one of them. So that will be reserved for both Everett and Malik. So even though if that might be the play, we'll figure out somebody else to carry the ball.
Coach, has there ever been a thought of maybe a preseason fall game? I know the spring game is popular and it's tradition, but it might be more productive when you have freshmen on campus. And
It's interesting you say that because we've actually talked about this as head coaches, how it would benefit greatly, to have that kind of opportunity, especially if you kept it local, right? We would certainly be in favor of doing something like that, and I think there's a number of coaches. It always gets to, all right, what are the finances? What are the TV arrangements? Those always get in the way of just doing a simple thing, and that is how that would benefit, going into the season. Certainly, with the kind of early season schedule that we play, you can understand how we would be very much in favor of something like that.
thanks, everybody.
All right, thank you.